Life is not a journey to be completed or a task to be checked off a list. It is a dance of movement, fluid and spontaneous, with no final step to reach. A dance does not ask us to hurry, it does not ask us to master it in one attempt. Instead, it invites us to flow, to move with grace or even stumble, to sway in harmony with the rhythm of existence. In a dance, the joy is not in the finish, but in the act itself. Each moment, each step is complete in and of itself, just as life is not about destinations, but about being fully present in every instant. The music of life does not wait for us to choreograph, it plays regardless, inviting us to lose ourselves in its melodies. When we approach life as a dance, we begin to see its beauty not in perfection, but in imperfection, not in rigidity, but in freedom. We learn to laugh when we falter, to move with the changing rhythms, to embrace the unpredictable as part of the unfolding masterpiece. Just as a dancer does not resist the floor but uses it to propel themselves into motion, we too must use the challenges and joys of life to find our footing. The dance of life is not solitary. It is a shared experience, an intricate weave of movements between ourselves and others, between the seen and the unseen. It is the interplay between light and shadow, joy and sorrow, stillness and motion. Each element enhances the dance, creating contrast, depth and meaning. To dance is to trust the music, to surrender control, to let the rhythm carry you. It is to realize that even in moments of silence, the dance continues in our hearts, that the pauses are not interruptions, but essential beats that make the movement possible. The illusion of control. We spend much of our lives grasping for control, weaving plans, and building structures to shield ourselves from uncertainty. Yet beneath this tireless effort lies a deep truth. Control is an illusion, a mirage we chase in the shifting sands of life. We imagine that by planning meticulously, by predicting outcomes, we can master the forces of the universe. But life, with its infinite unpredictability, rarely conforms to the frameworks we construct. This illusion does not arise from malice, it stems from a natural desire to feel secure, to tame the chaos of existence. But in clinging to this illusion, we create a paradox. Our pursuit of control becomes the very source of our anxiety, for every plan can unravel, every structure can falter. The more we try to hold on, the more fragile our sense of peace becomes. And true freedom lies not in controlling life, but in understanding its inherent unpredictability. The waves of existence cannot be commanded, but they can be ridden. The winds of change cannot be stilled, but they can be embraced. When we let go of our need to control, we make space for the unexpected, for the serendipitous, for the beauty of what simply is. Life does not demand that we master it, it asks that we dance with it, to move in step with its rhythm rather than impose our own. Control implies rigidity, but life thrives on fluidity. It is a river winding and meandering, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. The tighter we grip, the more the current slips through our fingers. And yet the illusion of control offers a lesson. It reminds us that uncertainty is not a threat, but an invitation, a reminder of life's spontaneity and creativity. It asks us to shift our focus from trying to predict the future to engaging fully with the present, the dance of life. Life unfolds not as a linear progression, but as an intricate dance, one without a clear destination or a defined endpoint. It is a movement of existence itself, a rhythm that flows through each moment, carrying with it the mystery of being alive. This dance invites us not to strive for mastery, but to immerse ourselves fully in its steps, to embrace its tempo and trust its flow. Every aspect of life contributes to the dance, the highs and the lows, the light and the dark, the smooth and the jagged. The joy of a dance is not found in reaching the end, but in the act of moving, in the connection between music and movement, between ourselves and the world around us. Life, like a dance, is not a puzzle to be solved, but an experience to be lived. In this dance there is no wrong step. Even our stumbles have their own grace, and the unexpected missteps often lead to discoveries we never imagined. When we stop trying to choreograph every moment, we find the beauty in improvisation, in responding to the rhythm as it comes rather than as we wish it to be. It is in this freedom that we discover what it means to truly live. The dance of life is a collaboration, not a solo act. It is a shared experience with the universe itself, a conversation between our inner world and the vast expanse of existence. We sway with the winds of change, move to the pulse of connection, and find our place within a greater harmony. Each of us adds our own unique movement to the dance, and yet we are part of a larger pattern, a greater choreography that is beyond our comprehension. Life's dance is not bound by rules or constrained by limitations. Its rhythm changes, sometimes slow and deliberate, other times wild and uncontainable. It demands not perfection but presence, asking us to surrender to its flow and trust its process. Even in moments of stillness, the dance continues, for stillness itself is a part of the movement, a necessary pause in the symphony of existence. Through the dance of life, we learn to let go of rigidity and embrace fluidity. We discover that beauty is not in holding back or resisting, but in yielding to the rhythm, in moving with the currents instead of against them. The dance reminds us that life is not a problem to be fixed, but a song to be sung, a journey to be savored, a moment to be experienced. Letting go. Letting go is not an act of surrender in the sense of defeat. Being simple does not mean being devoid of ambition or depth. It means living with clarity and purpose. It is the recognition that much of what we chase, possessions, accolades, control, is not necessary for happiness. The simplicity of being invites us to step off the treadmill of striving and sink into the sufficiency of the present moment. It asks us to let go of the weight of unnecessary complexities, to lighten our load so we can move more freely through life. In simplicity there is freedom. Freedom from the constant demands of comparison, from the endless pursuit of more, from the idea that we must always be improving, achieving, or fixing. The simplicity of being is a state of acceptance, a way of saying, this is enough. I am enough. It is a return to the truth that life itself, as it is, holds all that we need. This simplicity is not something to be found outside of us. It is already present, waiting to be remembered. It is in the stillness beneath our busy thoughts, in the spaces between our actions, in the quiet presence we bring to whatever we do. It is the gentle reminder that being alive is itself a miracle, one that does not require embellishment to be meaningful. To embrace the simplicity of being is to let go of the illusion that we must earn our place in the world through endless effort. It is to rest in the understanding that we are not separate from life, but a part of its seamless whole. In this simplicity we find not only peace, but also a profound connection to the world around us. Life in its essence is simple, and it is in simplicity that we rediscover our true nature. In the timeless now. Time, as we commonly understand it, is a construct, a thread we weave to give shape to our experience. We divide it into past, present, and future, anchoring ourselves in a narrative of before and after. Yet, when we strip away these layers, we find that life unfolds not in linear progression, but in an eternal now. The present moment is not a fleeting instance between what has been and what will be. It is the only reality, timeless and infinite. The past exists only as memory, a story we revisit in our minds. The future is a projection, a canvas painted with hopes, fears, and expectations. Both are abstractions, creations of thought, while the now is immediate and alive. It is the touch of the ground beneath your feet, the sound of your breath, the feeling of sunlight on your skin. It is life itself, unfiltered and direct. And to live in the timeless now is to step out of the river of thought and into the stillness of being. It is a return to the source, to the simplicity of existence before it is dissected by analysis and judgment. In this space, there is no need to dwell on what has passed or anticipate what is to come. The now is complete, containing within it all that we seek. The timeless now transcends the ticking of clocks and the calendar's pages. It is the heartbeat of existence, constant and unchanging, yet infinitely dynamic. It holds the paradox of permanence and impermanence, for while each moment arises and fades, the now itself remains ever present. It is the canvas on which the entire tapestry of life is painted, yet it is never consumed by the painting. When we anchor ourselves in the now, we step into a realm of clarity and freedom. Worry fades, for it belongs to the future. Regret dissolves, for it is tied to the past. In the now there is only what is, and in this simplicity we find peace. The timeless now is not a place to be reached, but a state to be remembered, for it is always here, waiting for us to notice it. And to inhabit the now fully is to see life with fresh eyes, unclouded by the lenses of expectation or memory. It is to experience the world not as we think it should be, but as it truly is. The timeless now invites us to wake up from the trance of time, to realize that we are not separate from it, but part of its eternal unfolding. In this awareness we find that the now is not a moment within time, it is the timeless essence of existence itself. Freedom in acceptance. Acceptance is often misunderstood as passive resignation, a giving up in the face of life's challenges. Yet true acceptance is an act of profound liberation, a doorway to freedom that arises not from submission but from understanding. It is the recognition that life, in all its complexities and contradictions, is as it is. To accept does not mean to approve or to agree. It means to stop resisting the flow of reality and to embrace what is present with openness and clarity. Resistance creates tension, a struggle against the very fabric of existence. When we fight what cannot be changed, whether it is the past, the nature of others, or the uncontrollable forces of life, we bind ourselves to frustration and suffering. Acceptance, on the other hand, dissolves these chains. It allows us to move with life instead of against it, to find peace in the midst of what we once deemed unacceptable. This freedom and acceptance is not about passivity, it is about alignment. It is the act of stepping into harmony with the truth of the moment, however it may appear. When we stop trying to force life to fit our expectations, we create space for transformation, growth, and healing. Acceptance becomes the foundation upon which meaningful change can occur, for it is only when we see things as they truly are that we can respond with wisdom and clarity. To accept is not to condone suffering or injustice, but to acknowledge their existence without denial. It is to recognize that certain realities lie beyond our control and to shift our focus from resisting them to navigating them. This shift brings freedom not because the circumstances change, but because our relationship to them does. We become less entangled in the need to control and more attuned to the possibilities within each moment. Freedom in acceptance is also a release from the burden of perfection. It allows us to embrace our own humanity, to make peace with our flaws and limitations. In accepting ourselves, we step into authenticity, no longer needing to wear masks or pretend. Mindfulness as a gateway takes us beyond mere observation. It allows us to enter into a direct experience of the present moment. In this state, there is no past to dwell on, no future to anticipate, only the fullness of what is happening right now. Our thoughts, our feelings, our surroundings all become integrated into a single, continuous experience. The mind, often fragmented and restless, finds peace in this simple act of being fully present. This practice creates a shift in perception. The things we once took for granted, the mundane tasks, the everyday encounters, suddenly reveal their depth. A cup of tea becomes an invitation to experience warmth, aroma, and taste all at once. A walk through the park becomes an immersion in sound, color, and movement, where every step brings us closer to the earth beneath our feet. Mindfulness awakens us to the beauty and wonder of the ordinary, revealing that the world is not simply something to be passed through, but something to be deeply felt and appreciated. Mindfulness is also a gateway to self-awareness. By turning our attention inward, we begin to observe our thoughts and emotions with curiosity rather than judgment. We realize that we are not our thoughts, that the emotions that arise are transient and ever-changing. This awareness brings freedom from the habitual patterns of thinking and reacting, allowing us to choose how we respond rather than being driven by unconscious impulses. In this space of observation, we can meet ourselves with compassion, understanding, and acceptance. Furthermore, mindfulness opens the door to a deeper connection with others. When we are fully present in our interactions, we stop merely reacting to others based on assumptions or projections. Instead, we listen with genuine attention without the filter of our own judgments or preconceived ideas. We begin to see people not through the lens of our personal stories, but as they truly are unique individuals with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This presence creates the possibility for deeper, more meaningful connections built on empathy, understanding, and respect. Mindfulness is also a gateway to peace. By accepting the present moment as it is, without striving or resistance, we free ourselves from the constant pressure of trying to change or fix things. We stop fighting against the flow of life and instead learn to move with it. This acceptance does not mean passivity, but rather a deep trust in the unfolding of life. We learn that peace is not something to be sought outside of ourselves, but something that arises naturally when we stop resisting the present moment. In embracing mindfulness as a gateway, we recognize that it is not a destination but a way of being. It does not require perfection, but a willingness to return again and again to the present. Through this practice, we open ourselves to the richness of life as it is, embracing both its challenges and its beauty. Mindfulness becomes not just a tool, but a way of living, a way of experiencing the world with fresh eyes and an open heart. The paradox of effort. Effort is often seen as the key to achieving success, progress, and mastery. We are taught from an early age that in order to reach our goals, we must work hard, push ourselves, and exert constant energy toward the desired outcome. Yet there exists a paradox at the heart of effort. The harder we strive, the further we sometimes seem from the very thing we are trying to attain. Effort, when taken to its extreme, can create resistance, tension, and exhaustion, undermining the very results we seek. In this paradox, effort itself becomes both a tool and a hindrance. The more we try to force something into being, the more we risk distorting it, pushing it away, or breaking its natural flow. Effort often emerges from a sense of inadequacy, a belief that we must control every detail, that we must force ourselves into a particular mold in order to succeed. This mindset leads us into a perpetual cycle of striving and striving, as though we are constantly climbing an endless mountain, only to find the summit forever receding. The paradox here is that the more we try to control, the less in control we become. And true effort, then, is not about force or striving, but about engagement. It is the act of applying ourselves fully to the moment, without attachment to the outcome. When effort comes from a place of presence, of being fully involved in the task at hand without trying to control or manipulate the result, we find that the process becomes its own reward. Effort, in this sense, is not about pushing against the current, but about aligning with it, working with the natural flow of things rather than against it. This shift in perspective invites us to see effort not as a means to an end, but as a way of deepening our relationship with what we are doing. Whether it is in a creative endeavor, a personal goal, or even in our relationships, true effort is not a struggle but a dance, a rhythm that comes from attuning ourselves to the present moment. It is in this alignment that we find ease, and in ease we find the paradox of effortless effort, where the action we take flows naturally and without strain. The paradox deepens when we consider the role of surrender in effort. Sometimes in our pursuit of something, we must let go of the desire to control the outcome entirely. Effort becomes paradoxical when we surrender to the unknown, when we release our tight grip on the future and trust that what needs to unfold will unfold in its own time. Surrender is not the absence of effort, but the transformation of effort into trust. In this way, we exert effort through our actions while simultaneously releasing attachment to the outcome. In relationships, too, effort can be both a gift and a burden. We may try to control or force a connection to unfold in a certain way, but in doing so, we often inhibit its natural development. The paradox here is that the more we try to shape or manipulate the dynamic, the more we risk losing the authenticity of the relationship itself. True effort in connection comes from a place of openness, of giving without expectation, of engaging fully without trying to control how things unfold. In this openness, relationships deepen naturally. Embracing impermanence. Impermanence is the fundamental truth of existence. Everything that exists is in a constant state of change, whether we notice it or not. The seasons shift, the body ages, the mind evolves, and even the very thoughts we hold are fleeting. Nothing stays the same, and in this lies both a challenge and an opportunity. To embrace impermanence is to accept the inherent transience of all things, to recognize that everything, no matter how cherished or painful, will eventually pass. It is a recognition that life is not a fixed state, but a continuous unfolding, a dance of beginnings and endings. When we resist impermanence, we cling to the illusion of permanence. We hold on tightly to what we have, afraid to let go, convinced that to lose something is to lose ourselves. This resistance to change creates suffering, for it is in nature's essence to move, to evolve, to let go. To embrace impermanence is to let go of our attachment to outcomes, to places, to possessions, and even to our identities. It is to live in a way that honors the fleeting nature of life, understanding that every experience, every moment is unique and unrepeatable. Impermanence, when embraced, frees us from the chains of attachment. We begin to see that nothing is truly ours to possess, not even our own bodies or our own time. This awareness encourages us to live fully in the present, for it is the only moment we can ever truly experience. When we let go of our attachment to permanence, we open ourselves to the richness of the now, to the beauty that arises in every fleeting moment. There is freedom in knowing that things do not last forever, that each moment is an opportunity to experience life in its raw, unfiltered form. Embracing impermanence invites us to face our fears of loss and change. It encourages us to live with an open heart, knowing that we cannot control how life unfolds. The relationships we cherish, the experiences we treasure, the things we hold dear, these are all subject to the flow of time. But rather than seeing this as a tragedy, we can view it as an invitation to fully engage with what is before us, to appreciate it deeply while it lasts. In this way, impermanence becomes a reminder to savor life, to cherish the moments as they come, without clinging to them or fearing their inevitable passing. In the process of embracing impermanence, we also come to understand that loss is not an end, but a transformation. The things we lose make room for new experiences, new perspectives, and new growth. We are not the same person we were yesterday, nor will we be the same tomorrow. Life's ever-changing nature shapes us, and in this shaping we find our capacity for resilience, for reinvention, for renewal. We learn that even in the face of endings, there are always new beginnings waiting to emerge. Impermanence teaches us the value of letting go. Holding on to the past, to old hurts, to unfulfilled desires only weighs us down. When we release these attachments, we create space for the present to unfold, for life to breathe freely. In letting go, we trust that what is meant to stay will remain, and what is meant to pass will do so naturally. It is in this act of release that we find peace, not in holding tightly, but in letting go with grace. As we embrace impermanence, we learn to find peace within ourselves, regardless of the external circumstances. We no longer seek security in the permanence of things, but find our stability in the understanding that change is the only constant. In this realization, we begin to live with greater fluidity, adaptability, and ease. The fear of losing what we love fades, replaced by the understanding that everything is part of a larger cycle, a continuous flow of life that cannot be grasped but only experienced. To embrace impermanence is to live fully, to let go of the need for control, and to allow life to unfold in its own perfect rhythm. It is a surrender to the beauty of the moment, knowing that it is fleeting, but all the more precious for it. In this surrender, we discover a profound sense of peace in knowing that everything, including ourselves, is simply passing through, and that there is beauty in each phase of the journey, no matter how brief. Childlike wonder. Childlike wonder is the essence of seeing the world with fresh eyes that have not yet been dulled by the weight of experience, the expectations of society, or the burdens of the past. It is the ability to look at the simplest things with awe, as though seeing them for the very first time. A child's curiosity is boundless, their imagination infinite. Every sound, every color, every texture is a source of fascination, and the world is a place of endless possibilities. To experience childlike wonder is to be present, fully immersed in the magic of the moment, and to marvel at life's inherent beauty without the need to analyze or control. When we look through the lens of childlike wonder, the world becomes a playground of discovery. We stop labeling everything, and instead we approach each moment with an open heart, ready to experience it in its raw, unfiltered form. The smallest things, a bird in flight, a cloud drifting by, a leaf falling to the ground, become extraordinary. We no longer rush past them, but pause to appreciate the intricacy of each detail, the play of light, the movement, the texture, the sound. The world, in all its complexity, becomes a wonderland when we allow ourselves to see it with untainted eyes. Childlike wonder is not bound by judgment or comparison. A child does not see the world in terms of what is better or worse. They see it as a collection of unique experiences to be explored. In their world, everything has potential, everything is new, and everything is worth experiencing. This absence of comparison allows for pure enjoyment and appreciation of the present moment. It is in this state of wonder that we experience life's richness, without the pressure to measure or achieve. As we grow older, the demands of life often cause us to lose touch with this sense of wonder. We become preoccupied with what needs to be done, with what is expected of us, with what we lack or desire. The world, once full of enchantment, becomes mundane, reduced to a series of tasks, responsibilities, and goals. We forget how to pause, how to be amazed. To embrace childlike wonder is to bring joy back into our lives, to shed the heaviness of the past and the worries of the future, and to simply be. In this state, we are free to experience life with the same sense of openness and curiosity that children possess. We begin to see the world not as a series of challenges to overcome, but as a rich and vibrant tapestry to be explored and appreciated. In the wonder of the present moment, we rediscover the magic that is always available to us, if only we choose to see it. In the simplicity of childlike wonder, we find a deep sense of connection to the world and to ourselves. We are reminded that life is not about striving, achieving, or accumulating, but about experiencing, feeling, and being. When we embrace this wonder, we tap into a wellspring of joy, creativity, and possibility that we can carry with us into every aspect of our lives. The art of surrender. Surrender is often misunderstood. It is not about giving up or resigning oneself to fate, nor is it a passive submission to life's circumstances. True surrender is an active choice, a conscious decision to release control, to trust in the flow of life, and to let go of the need to force outcomes. It is an art, one that requires great strength and wisdom, as it calls us to relinquish our attachment to certainty and to embrace the unknown. Surrender is not about weakness, but about the power to yield to life's rhythms, to flow with what is rather than against it. To surrender is to acknowledge that there are forces greater than ourselves, that life does not always unfold according to our plans or desires. It is the recognition that no matter how hard we try, we cannot control everything. The more we resist, the more we create tension, pushing against the inevitable. The art of surrender lies in accepting that not everything is within our grasp, and that sometimes the most profound wisdom comes not from action, but from acceptance. Surrendering is not about avoiding responsibility or action, but about letting go of the need for control over the outcome. It is engaging fully in the present moment, doing what we can, and then releasing the attachment to what comes next. It is the ability to act with intention and purpose while holding everything loosely, knowing that the results may not always align with our expectations. In this space, we are free to act with full presence, but without the heavy burden of trying to force or manipulate the future. The art of surrender also involves the courage to face vulnerability. Surrendering means opening ourselves to uncertainty, to discomfort, and to the possibility of failure. It is not about clinging to the illusion of security or holding on to what we think we need to feel safe. Instead, it is the willingness to trust in the unfolding of life, even when we cannot predict what will come next. In this vulnerability, we find a deeper strength that comes from letting go of the illusion of control and embracing the inherent uncertainty of existence. In relationships, surrender is the art of letting go of expectations and allowing the other person to be who they are. It is about releasing the need to change, fix, or control the dynamics of the connection. Instead of trying to shape the relationship into a specific form, we learn to accept and flow with it as it evolves. Surrender in relationships invites trust, compassion, and a willingness to allow both people to grow and change in their own ways without forcing anything to stay the same. Surrendering also means letting go of past hurts, regrets, and fears that weigh us down. It is about freeing ourselves from the emotional baggage that holds us in place, preventing us from moving forward. To surrender is to release the grip we have on our stories and identities, to step into the unknown with an open heart, free from the limitations of the past.